Welcome back, YouTubers, to another Smackdown review with us, the British Fist.
Go, Jay.
God damn, thank God there's no more shaving foam, so we're not going to get crazy NJ in this video, I'm just saying. I am Mr. Parkin. This guy sitting next to me is the one and only crazy NJ!
What's up?
Yeah, in case you guys didn't see our TNA review the other day, NJ ended up acting crazy. He proposed to me and he also put shaving foam on his face. It was really weird. That was a very strange night, wasn't it, NJ?
Oh yes, but that was the real me coming out, I thought. Pretty good.
Yeah, okay, if you guys like that, NJ, comment down below. Subscribe up above as well, like this video and comment your thoughts on this edition of Smackdown if you will.
Make sure you contact us in the link in the box below.
Yes, indeed. This Smackdown, we've got 16 days to go to WrestleMania, so we're expecting some, good quality hype going into the pay-per-view, the biggest pay-per-view of the year, aren't we?
We are, with the matches we're getting tonight. It's not the go-home show just yet, but we are expecting the matches to be somewhat involved about WrestleMania.
Yes, indeed, and let's hope crazy NJ doesn't come out in this video, because I must admit, I do prefer the more light-hearted NJ, especially when we're doing reviews.
Okay, let's go.
Wake up. Right, we opened up the show with none other than the returning Christian. He didn't get that much of a big pop, though, did he, unfortunately? Unless they pumped the crowd noise in a little bit there, didn't they?
Well, the fact he's already returned once and disappeared, I guess the crowd just were like, oh, there he is again.
Yeah, and we saw the return of the Peep Show, which was pretty awesome. I did like the whole Peep Show setup they had there. And we get this whole thing at the start as to what team he is going to be part of. And as he's a heel, we immediately assumed he would be on Laurinaitis' team. But both GMs end up coming out, and they pretty much well, Teddy Long says that he didn't deserve the title shot, and Laurinaitis is going to give him a title shot, so he's going to be on Team Laurinaitis. I thought this was a pretty decent opener, personally.
Pretty straightforward. Christian said it depended on who can give him what he deserves. It's the one-more match. Long said he gave it to him. Laurinaitis said, you'll get it if we win, and there it goes.
Yep. So Christian is on Team Laurinaitis now. Like I said, it was a pretty simple opener. You've got, Christian, a returning guy in the opener. You're putting this GM feud in the opener, which I feel has been generally quite entertaining. And that kind of led us on to our next match as well, didn't it?
Just because Christian is not fit to wrestle, and so instead of Christian wrestling, it's Otunga wrestling.
Oh, fantastic. Mr. Botch himself wrestling. He's kind of like WWE. He's kind of like WWE's version of Rob Terry, isn't he?
Yeah.
Get ready for it, NJ. We had David Otunga versus Kofi Kingston, who we also found is also on Team Long. He's on Team Long now, isn't he? And he came out with none other than Santino. Thanks for reminding me there, NJ. We had Teddy Long and John Laurinaitis on commentary, having a bit of a babble on commentary there.
Yes, the thing about this match is that they did concentrate on the commentary quite a lot through this match. It wasn't the best match anyway, but there was more concentrating on the commentators.
Yeah, and Otunga wrestled in his trousers. Kind of reminded me of that Cody Rhodes, when Cody Rhodes wrestled in his trousers at Hell in a Cell when he brought out the new IC belt against John Morrison.
Yeah, he just wasn't ready. He wasn't in his wrestling gear. Why are they making him wrestle when he's not in his wrestling gear?
I don't know, maybe you should put some shaving foam on his face and he might go a bit crazy. And yeah, no Cobras, NJ. Come on, leave those Cobras out of the review, even though it's entertaining. And then you get Christian gets sent out, and I love it when the referees go, "You're out of here!" It's just so funny. And then you get the GMs going at it a little bit. I must admit, I know these two kind of suck, but I love it when these two have a little face to face. It's just so funny.
Because that's the thing. Again, this match, majority of the matches that the GMs are around become more about them, the rest in the ring. But Kofi picks up the win by the help of Otunga about to use his belt and Santino putting him down, and Trouble in Paradise for 1, 2, 3.
So even though it was very overbooked, you had a nice little thing there between the GMs, and you also got Kofi a win, especially good as he did get kind of squashed by Mark Henry on Raw. So it was good to give Kofi Kingston a win despite what turned out to be quite a fair bit of overbooking. But in this kind of thing, you have to expect overbooking. How much overbooking have we seen in this feud? Yet it's still been entertaining.
That's why I look at it.
Should we move on from that?
Really?
For some reason we got AJ versus Brie Bella. I suppose they didn't want to make the Beth Phoenix part of it and try and maybe set up that match that we're going to get at Mania with the host of Extra on there, Maria Mendoza or whatever. But we got AJ with Daniel Bryan versus Brie Bella. And, I couldn't help but think, what was the point of this segment?
The first thing I want to point out is Daniel Bryan came out with his own theme song and AJ on her own. And then the whole match was Daniel Bryan saying, "Come on, go on,
NJ, you can do it. You can give a good review. You can give good opinions. Go on, NJ.
Basically,
go on,
sir. Down to AJ pick up the win when even though Brie Bella did become quite dominant in the match.
Yeah, and Daniel Bryan was talking about this in a previous segment being a #1 contendership match. Does that mean she's the #1 contender now? It was just confusing. Like, AJ won the match, but is she the #1 contender? Don't really know. It just seemed a bit of a pointless segment to me, especially when you've got Daniel Bryan in the feud with Sheamus, and you really want to, especially with the way that's been built, which hasn't been great in my opinion, you really do need to put a lot more concentration on those two.
And I'm going to say something that hasn't been said yet. AJ looked good. Beat down to it. You know, he's that nice outfit she was wearing. Very nice indeed. Oh, yes. Very nice indeed.
You bastard! The fuck are you doing? That's my girl! How dare you? Fucking bullshit. You're worse than Daniel Bryan. Fuck you. We had an interview with Cody Rhodes. An interview with Cody Rhodes where he talked about Big Show being a choke artist at WrestleMania and that he's going to defeat a giant next, and that giant was Great Khali.
Quick promo, got to the point, explained that Cody Rhodes is going to show what he's going to do to the Big Show in this next match.
Yeah, and basically Cody Rhodes beats him in about 5 minutes. He beat, I guess the whole point of this was him beating him a giant. He wins with a beautiful disaster kick, and I couldn't help but think that there was no Big Show. Because we had 2 segments with these two tonight, didn't we? Not really, not too much interaction between the two. I really felt they probably maybe should have had maybe one longer segment rather than 2 segments and maybe have them interact in it rather than the 2 squash matches that we had.
Well, the 2 points I want to make about this is that we had Khali dominate, which he would because obviously he's the big guy versus Cody Rhodes to get his win at the end. And the thing I've been waiting for week after week, maybe we'll get it next week, is when Big Show or Cody do the screw on the other one in the match, in a match.
Or just have some kind of brawl, which I hope Cody wins, but I think the Big Show being 5 foot 500 pounds, 7 foot 500 pounds. Sorry, why is he 2 feet shorter than I think he is? There we go. It's just a nice way of making Cody Rhodes look strong. I just wondered when Big Show and Cody were going to interact tonight, and we got our answers to that later. Our main event of this show was a promo involving Randy Orton and Kane. I really enjoyed this promo because what it did is it set up not a great premise, but some kind of premise which this feud needed, because they couldn't just fight each other for the sake of it. There needed to be some kind of premise, and we got that in this with Orton calling out Kane, and Kane basically saying why he wants to face Orton because of that whole street fight that happened last year, and he shook hands and thought that he's now the monster and he wants to get revenge on him.
The thing is, they both had their own say. We had Orton wanting to know the reason why, which is what the fans wanted to know, and Kane saying he was sick and being at base, and he's now this whole thing with no passion, just going straight after being the monster that he really is and should have been. Yeah,
and he hated how he was back then, and that's the reason, and he wants to get his revenge on Orton as a monster and decimate him at WrestleMania. So Kane and Orton is made for WrestleMania. I did think this was good because you don't get too many promos. You usually get match on SmackDown, and this was a nice promo. Even though Orton isn't very good on the mic, it helps set up that match at Mania and give a premise to the feud. And we got that nice little tease on Raw that they were going to be doing something on this episode of SmackDown.
And with there not being so many feuds flowing on SmackDown, they do need to concentrate on what they've got, which is the Big Show and Cody Rhodes, and then Kane and Orton.
Yeah, and also the Spoilerweight Championship and the GM
that
feud.
one later, yes.
They should really base the show around those 4 feuds. We do still get a bit of filler in there, but there we go. So I thought it was a good mid-card feud segment involving Randy Orton and Kane. I did think it set a nice premise. Even though it wasn't great, it was still nice to set up the feud.
Very good promo, Kane.
Yes, not all on his side. Big Show versus Drew McIntyre. This is basically a squash match. Big Show wins via knockout. I was really, well, don't knock yourself out, MJ, bloody hell. And basically, it's just, I thought the 2 segments with Cody Rhodes and Big Show, it made them look strong, but I didn't feel there was enough interaction between the two tonight. I do feel we need it, especially this close to Mania. I understand why they're trying to do this. They're trying to make Big Show look strong, have Cody Rhodes look strong as well, which is good. I just think there needs to be a bit more interaction, maybe 1 or 2 of the segments.
The 2 points I would have made is like Drew McIntyre, he just got his job back and he's lost his return match after Hornswoggle. So, okay, there we go. And the last point I want to make is you saw Cody Rhodes look at the TV. Yeah. Why did he not come down after the match or come up behind Big Show and hit him with his IC belt?
We do need it. I think we need some kind of double cross or Cody Rhodes getting the upper hand on Big Show at some point. But it's nice they're not touching too much, but we do need something to intensify the feud a little bit, despite the fact they haven't touched too much, which is usually pretty good. It's nice to see them fight for the first time at a big pay-per-view. But yeah, with that drone, we move on to the next segment. Mark Henry versus Yoshitatsu. Mark Henry is part of Team Johnny Ace. And I do wonder, the segment wasn't... It would have been better, in my opinion, if Johnny Ace was out there with him being his cheerleader, saying, we're going to dominate Teddy Long. I mean, I wouldn't have minded the second segment involving him, especially because it would just give the segment more meaning rather than it just being a squash match with which Mark Henry wins in like 1 minute and a half.
Teddy Long should have come out with some. I mean, Lauren Nairo should have come out with some pom poms. Yeah, go,
Mr.
Mark Henry, go.
Mr. Entertainment.
Yeah, that would have been it. But yeah, then Yoshitatsu.
At least we got a Yoshitatsu TV sighting, eh? The man who wins the WrestleMania Battle Royal pretty much every year. Apart from last year, which was won by Great Khali. And Sheamus and Daniel Bryan was the dark match for that WrestleMania, and now it's going to open the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, Yoshi.
Yeah, anyway, let's get on to the main event.
Yeah,
Chris Jericho versus Sheamus. Do you remember when these two had that really nice match at Royal Rumble after, being in the final two at the Royal Rumble? I did think going into this match that these two would put on a nice exchange because they did at the Royal Rumble, didn't they, when they were the last two? They had a nice little 5-minute exchange. I was kind of looking forward to this main event.
And the fact that they're both #1 contenders, it was a match that was going to happen near to Mania just so we can have the two contenders going against each other to try and prove who's the better one. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, and I do want to mention something here. It's got something to do with this promo, but have you noticed The Rock and Cena and Taker and Triple H never actually appear on SmackDown?
Oh.
And it's because of that SmackDown feels kind of like second rate. And at least here we got Chris Jericho on SmackDown, which is good. And he's promoting the CM Punk feud again, which, although CM Punk wasn't there, it kind of made SmackDown feel a bit more of a big deal rather than, just your typical B show where Chris Jericho or the main 3 feuds on WrestleMania aren't going to be. I'd like to see them get rid of maybe a video package or two and actually maybe have Rock or Cena show up or Triple H and Taker show up. I mean, they had Chris Jericho show up, and I thought that was a pretty nice touch to SmackDown this week.
Well, the touch I would do for the go-home show, because it's SmackDown before the pay-per-view, do something special for that. Have a big names on that show just to add something before the last show before WrestleMania. Yeah,
but Jericho cut a nice promo before the match, didn't he? Jericho is, we all know Jericho is great at promos, but this is a fantastic promo again. Just standard day's work for Chris Jericho, isn't it? He cuts a promo about not being happy about what, people aren't happy about what he said about Punk because they thought it was too deep, and kind of addresses the smarks there a little bit. But he basically says that, he talks more about Punk's father. Again, it's just nice to see Jericho mentioning the feud on SmackDown. It doesn't feel like a B filler show then.
No, again, yes, they're mentioning Raw stuff, which obviously is the biggest show, but this all led to, obviously, then Jericho hyping up the match more, so it did justice for Raw, but not for SmackDown.
Yeah, and then we get onto the match itself. Chris Jericho versus Sheamus. The match went about 11 minutes. It wasn't quite as good as I was expecting it, but it was still a good main event. You had Daniel Bryan and AJ at ringside. It's kind of hyping up that Royal Heavyweight Championship feud a bit, but I can't help but feel, even though we had Bryan attacking Sheamus that led to the count-out victory, I can't help but feel that they need to hype this feud up much better than what they're doing, because I don't have that much interest in this feud. As far as I'm concerned, I just want to see Sheamus walk out there with the World Heavyweight Championship, and that's really all I want to see. It needs to be hyped up better.
That's true, because even with this match and the involvement, this is the first bit of proper interaction we've had between these two, Daniel Bryan screwing Sheamus, and I thought that was interesting. But at the moment, we've got coming up to the show before WrestleMania, there needs to be a bit more just to give us this want.
There does need to be a little bit more to it, just as you said, to give us the want. You know what I mean? Rather than just the They need to do more to really sell the feud, in my opinion, other than the fact that it's for the World Heavyweight Championship. Because right now, I don't really think Sheamus or Daniel Bryan are really feuding. There's a belt there, and that's really it. There's nothing added to this feud which would really help it going into Mania.
And the real sad thing about this is that it's the Royal Rumble winner, and that used to be so much importance behind the Royal Rumble winner, and now it's just been like, Sheamus win it. Yeah, well done, Sheamus. There's nothing there.
Yeah, but let's just hope he wins at Mania, because I do feel the Royal Rumble, after 5 years of drought, a Royal Rumble winner needs to win at WrestleMania, in my opinion. And perfect guy for it would be Sheamus, because SmackDown do need another big baby face. He needs to win, doesn't he?
He needs to get the win over Daniel Bryan, because in our opinion, or maybe still is, it's just not really doing him as much justice that it should have done.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan's title reign kind of needs to come to an end now, in my opinion.
That's it.
But we'll save more about that for our predictions video, which is going to go the Saturday before Mania. The main point of this segment was you had Jericho in there hyping up the Punk feud, which was good. Sheamus bro kicks Jericho while Jericho's celebrating. So Jericho wins by count-out, so no one has to do a clean job. And you got Sheamus and Daniel Bryan in the main event, which they haven't really done too much lately. Really. Just a segment involving those two. So I mean, it was a good main event. I thought it was a good main event to end the show.
Pretty strong. Two right wrestlers in the main event. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and Chris Jericho really did add to the star power on SmackDown, because we all know, they don't have that much star power, and they kind of need Jericho, don't they?
They do.
God, we did this review pretty quickly, didn't we? But what's your overall thoughts on the show?
Yes, majority, pretty much all the matches, apart from the Divas one, probably has something to do with Mania. The wrestlers are involved, so I guess they did their job in that way. But it just entertainment-wise, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it.
Yes, that is exactly what I was going to say. The opener was pretty good. Our main event good. Main event good. So they're good in the important parts, which I liked about this week's SmackDown. In between was pretty kind of filler at some points, but they did a decent amount for them for WrestleMania there, and they announced Orton Kane, hyped up most of the views they had. But like NJ said, it wasn't very entertaining. It was kind of hard to watch at some points, and that's just kind of typifies SmackDown at the moment. It's because Raw has Triple H and Taker and Rock Cena, which provide most of the big, nostalgia pop moments, which make the show exciting. That's the problem with SmackDown. It's a B show, and it feels like it.
And the two things missing, in my opinion, was Santino actually in a match because he brings entertainment to the show, and Natalia farting. Not really. That was awful. I'm glad they didn't do it tonight. Ka-ching!
Yeah, and by the way, AJ's hot. AJ's hot. Got you.
She's okay. Anyway, people, thank you for tuning for SmackDown. Our grade overall would be pretty much C. Pretty much C, because it weren't the best of shows, but bring on next week. And that has been it from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ. Till next time, people. Goodbye.